Hey everybody, what's going on? You know, I've been sitting back just chilling the last couple of days, just taking in the historic moments of what's going on in this country before shit hits the fan, and I'm 99.9% sure that the shit is going to hit the fan, not economically wise. That'll be part of it. You saw the Fed. They paused interest rates, and they said that in July they're going to raise them back up. I don't believe that for a second. That doesn't even make any sense. But that's not what this video is about. It's not about economics or anything else. It's about right and wrong, good versus evil, and our rights and our freedoms and our basic constitutional rights that people don't even understand what we have and what we're losing. But I'm gonna say some things in this video that are gonna upset the powers that be and upset YouTube and maybe upset some of you guys. I don't know, but I just got to tell the truth, man. And I wanted to say this a couple of days ago when it happened. I've been predicting a civil war. I was wrong. I was wrong about that. I said there will be a civil war coming up. I'm wrong, because when you're going through history, you think it's just going to be this one moment that just going to cause the civil war. I think we're already in one right now, and I think we have been in one for the last few years, because this country is so divided. I don't know. I'm only 48. I don't know, and I am a historian, but I don't know when the last time this country has been this divided. Maybe in the 60s, during the civil rights movement, maybe. I don't know if we're more divided now than then, or if we're not as, or maybe we're as divided as we were during the Civil War back in the 1800s. I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't live in those times. I can just read about them and get accounts from people that were there in the civil rights movement, because I do know people that lived through that. But I was born in the 70s. But my lord, what's going on now? It's so blatantly obvious what the deal is and what's going on. And here's what I mean by shit hits the fan, right? I'm talking about I don't know if the supply chain is going to break. I don't know that, but I think it's going to be a situation where people are not going to want to come out, and people are going to be looting grocery stores and things that of that nature, which they do already in California and Oregon and parts of Chicago and Democratic run cities, that if you steal anything under $1,000 or it's $950 or something like that, you basically just get away with it. And I think that's coming to a theater near you. And I hate to say that. I really hate to say that, but you got to be prepared, like these things are going to happen. But what I'm seeing now, the divide in this country, it's so funny, right? I say good versus evil because I'm coming from my perspective. I'm coming from the Bible, Jesus Christ, God, and our four founding fathers, our forefathers, the Constitution, America, being a patriot, and things like that. But from the other side of the equation, and again, it's not all about left and right. It kind of seems that way, but it's people's beliefs, and the people that have one set of beliefs have another. The other people have another set of belief, and you wrote all those beliefs down. I would say 85% or more all have the same beliefs about what's going on here. And this reminds me of a scene, and it built gradually, and it came to fruition for Anakin Skywalker. You guys remember? I'm a big Star Wars fan, and when the movies came out, the first movies came out in the 1970s. You saw Darth Vader, and he was just this evil man, and you're just like, wow, how can this man be evil? Because everybody thinks they're doing good. They don't just think they're evil. Adolf Hitler, arguably one of the quote unquote evilest men in the world, did some really bad things, but he justified it based on his beliefs. And he thought he was doing good. Nobody just goes out there and just rubs their hands together and says, oh, I'm just going to destroy the world for no reason. They just don't. If you look at all the quote unquote villains in movies and comic books and stuff like that, they really think they're doing good for the world, And it just reminds me, I was watching Star Wars the other day, And when the accumulation of all the things that was going on with the Jedi and Anakin Skywalker, again, the first Star Wars movies, the first ones, 4, 5, and 6, you just saw Darth Vader as this evil guy with this black costume. But then when they went back and showed episode 1, 2, and 3, they showed his progression into what he became and how he became Darth Vader, even to the last scene where he put on the suit and everything else. But you saw the gradual change he went through. And I believe that's what we're going through today. He believed that the Jedi were evil because he had Palpatine in his ear telling him that that the Jedi were evil. And I'll use Palpatine as who would be Palpatine? I guess maybe somebody from the WEF or Mr. GS or something like that. Because I would say Brandon, but he's not. He's not calculating enough. He's up there, though. I mean, he's obviously, the leader of the free world. But he's getting his puppet strings pulled by somebody else. He's not making any decisions. And that's why they want to keep him in office, by the way. And I got a prediction real quick before I go on. I believe, and I'm going to say a lot in this video. It's going to be a long video. I believe they're going to eventually get him out because he's not the guy in power. He's just there as a front man because he's very easily controlled. He's manipulated. The guy back in the days, Joe Biden, back in the 90s and 2000, although I never liked him, he was a pretty strong character. He didn't want gay marriages and all this other stuff, but obviously he sold his soul, him and his son and his whole family, and he's bought and paid for now. He's an evil doer, in my personal opinion, based on my beliefs. He is. But I think there's a guy out there that's even more evil than him and more capable and younger and more willing and strong to do the things that Brandon just cannot do physically, and that's Gavin Newsom. I'm predicting that Gavin Newsom will be the Democratic candidate for president. I believe they're going to take down Joe Biden or Brandon here within the next few months because everybody knows, even on the Democratic side, you can only hide him for so much. He's just falling down and messing up too much. And, they could rig the election again and stuff like that. Again, YouTube's going to love this video. But I don't know if they can just get away with it. There's just too much stuff going on. And, Kamala Harris, I believe they're going to pay her off, get him in trouble for some of the things he done, and then he'll just ride off into some sunset. And then it's going to be Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis, because that's what they want, because they want to take Trump out too. And I'll get into all that in another video, but it's just leading up to Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis, good versus evil, whatever your perspective is from. But back to Anakin Skywalker, he just truly believed the Jedi were evil, just like a lot of the people that believe in. I'm gonna use Anakin Skywalker as the people that are on the left side or have those kind of beliefs of, doing the stuff with the transgenders and all the stuff that they're doing with the kids and everything else. They believe that that the American flag represents evil. The Jedis are evil. A lot of these people don't believe in God. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They don't believe in the Constitution. They feel like it should be amended. They don't believe in. They believe in censorship. If the words that are coming out of somebody else's mouth don't agree with them, they believe in censorship. They believe in taking away the Second Amendment rights of people. They believe in, the police can just come in your house and everything else. They believe in victimhood. They believe in, destruction, in my opinion, and I'll probably get into that in another video, but they believe in stuff that we don't believe in. And from their perspective, they believe they're the good guys. But I will say this. If you just take a couple of days and just look at it from their perspective, it will sound silly, of course, but just listen to their reasoning. And honestly, if you really listen to their reasoning, it doesn't sound crazy. Now, it sounds crazy to us, but just try to get into their world and really figure out where they're coming from. I try to do my best not to be biased. Of course, I'm a human being. I have a heart. I have a soul. I have my bias is my personality, based on, because you are what you take in. You have a bunch of filters around you, and you are basically what you consume, what you watch, what you read, who you hang around with, what school you went to, your parents, and there's all these different things that enter into your filters and basically make you become the person that you are. And I grew up as a Democrat, so I can understand a lot of the stuff where they're coming from. I understand that they think the government is crooked. I do too, but they think it for a different reason and stuff like that. So when you watch these things and listen to them, and you see the anger and you see black people thinking that they really are the victims, and you know you go back to slavery and the Jim Crow laws and everything that happened to African American people. I can understand why they felt that way because I used to feel that way before I became educated on the subject. Because I just look for the truth now. Now that I'm older, I don't look for my biases. I look for the truth. I've been on Twitter the last few days. I've been watching and listening and paying attention to a lot of individuals, Democrats, Republicans, independents, whoever. And I've just been watching their point of view and I've been reading their stories and I've been fascinated because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not really on social media like that. And I should have been on Twitter for many, many years ago. Twitter's been around for years, but I just never got into it. But now that I'm really into this kind of stuff and I want to put my boots to the ground and my ear to the floor, I want to know what's going on. And I've learned so much over the last couple of weeks, maybe since I've been on Twitter, excuse me. And it's a crazy world, man. No wonder why people were so angry and upset about Twitter being, kind of taken over by the left, and also too being taken over by Elon Musk. They were really unhappy about that. And it's a town hall out there, man. Twitter is something else. Again, I told you this maybe a week ago. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a great his nephew, the great John F. Kennedy's nephew, and Robert F. Kennedy Sr.'s son had a great town hall thing, question and answer QA with Elon Musk. And without Twitter, you never would have had that. And I'm loving Tucker Carlson's series. I'm loving the different perspectives. You can say whatever you want, basically. There's free speech on there, and I fully believe in it. That's why it's the First Amendment for freedom of speech. That's just so important, man. No matter what side you're on, you should want the other side to have their argument and say what they have to say, regardless of if it offends you or not. And when you look at these things and you see what's going on, and if you just looked at the regular news, and this is my main point of this, when you look at the news, if I would have saw I would have still been mad, but if I would have saw what happened during this Pride Month thing that happened at the White House, and just saw it from the regular news, I would have been angry and upset, of course. But when you go on Twitter, and I don't know about Instagram, I'm not on Instagram, maybe I should go on there too, and you see the left wingers, what they were talking about on the Pride, the Pride celebration at the White House, and the flag flying in the middle and all this other stuff, and then what was going on the lawn and stuff, and then you look at it from the right wingers, conservatives, independents, whatever, liberals, all the different factions of it. You look at it and you go, wow, the same thing is going on, but they see it in a different way. They're celebrating, the people on the left side are celebrating this like they were bounded in slavery or something, like they just got out of some kind of, I don't know, some kind of prison or some kind of, I don't know, like they're just free, like, oh my God, we're free to do whatever we want. And they really believe in their heart, these people that support this stuff and are in that community, they really believe that they've been victimized and marginalized, and their rights have been taken, and they've been vindicated by this historic moment. And of course, I try my best not to be biased and stuff, but when you take a look at Twitter and you look at the people that have their boots on the ground, and you look at it from different perspectives, and again, I have my perspective, you just realize that we are in a civil war right now. And I realize that when you have the United States government, now every state, capital, New York is Albany. I think Nevada's Reno. Every state has a city capital. They have their Capitol building or whatever, but the main one is the Capitol building in Washington D.C. But the main one is the executive branch, and that's the White House. And for them to do this, not only at the most powerful house in America, maybe the most powerful house in the world, to fly the pride flag in the middle, flanked by our two flags around it. I just realized that pride flag to me represents all seven sins, man, and evil to me. And to them, to the people on that side, it represents pride and hope and good and goodness. And I guess the American flag is evil to them. And I think we're in a semi-cold. I don't know if it's cold or warm or what. Civil war. I think it's warming up. I don't think we're in a full-blown civil war, but we're definitely. But again, maybe 100 years from now, they'll say this was the moment, and on this point right here, or when the George Floyd thing happened, or when January 6th happened. I don't know what they're going to say in the history books when the Civil War actually started, because we're going through the timeline right now. But when you zoom out and look at what's going on, it could have been before that. You know, it could have been when the day Donald Trump became president. You know, he's public enemy number one. Who knows? But all I know is I truly believe I was wrong when I said we're headed towards a civil war. I think we are in one. Cold, lukewarm, or hot. I don't know which one. But I'm going to say something here that's going to probably get me in trouble, but I have to say it. Again, I am not for violence, and I'm not for it. Anybody attacking anybody, but it's going to lead to that no matter what I say. It's just going to. And I've been watching on Twitter, man. And let's just say people on the right side, a lot of them boys are ready. Okay, they got factions, they got motorcycle gangs, they got people that are very proud, if you know what I mean. You just got a lot of people that are not having it. Okay, and they're ready, and they're just waiting on a phone call or waiting on the word. And I'm not promoting that. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what I'm observing. But I've noticed the last couple of months we've had a few boycotts. Right? What did we boycott? We boycotted Bud Light, and the reason we boycotted Bud Light was because they had a transgender Dylan Mulvaney face on a can, and she had a commercial, or he had a commercial. Excuse me. That's a man. And the conservatives went nuts about it. And in my point of view, I completely understand that, you know. But then another company took it a step further, and this should be even worse. And I told people this. Target, when they targeted the children, and these schools are targeting the children, I think any school, and this is my opinion, first of all, Target should have been more banned or boycotted, bigger than Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch or Budweiser, because it's one thing to have a transgender on the can. That's you know, it's a company, they can do what they want, right? They're a company. But when you're a company targeting children, no pun intended with the Target name, I just believe all hell should have broke loose in a calm, non-violent way. The boycott should have been much stronger at Target. I drive by some Target sometimes, and I see people still going in there, and I just don't understand why people are even messing with them. It's one thing to be woke. If you want to push transgender stuff and all this other stuff, that's fine. You do what you want. Just leave the fucking kids alone. That is my opinion. And that's evil to me and my beliefs. And then these schools that are doing these things and pushing this stuff on the kids, they should be banning those schools too. I'm sorry, they should. And that's just too far for me. And they should ban them. And anybody that's talking about their kids in school and they're doing this and they're going to the school board meetings, let me give you a word of advice. Take your kids out of school because they're not going to change. You're fighting against something that ain't going to win. I understand it's hard, and I get it, but you have to take your kids out of schools if your schools are doing that. And if you think your school are headed that way, your schools are headed that way, then head the other way and run for the hills. But with that being said, this is the part that may get me in trouble, but I got to say it. I'm sorry. Again, like I said in my short, I will never, ever, ever tell you no lies. I will not do it. I will not compromise myself and sit here and BS you or nothing like that. I'm just going to give it to you real. And this is why YouTube doesn't like me. This is why I get strikes, and this is why I get videos taken down. And honestly, I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not a YouTuber. But let me say this. When I saw what I saw at the in Washington, D.C., at the White House, and I saw them fly the pride flag and do all those antics on the lawn and everything else, and them pushing this stuff at the highest office, like I said, probably in the world, I think we should ban this administration and then ban the White House, or boycott this administration and boycott the White House. We can't have this, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to boycott a beer because they put a picture of somebody on a beer can, then why are we not boycotting this administration and boycotting the White House right now? Why? Now, we all know he's not running things, Brandon and Kamala Harris. We know that. We know there's people over them. But if enough of us stand up and go, you know what? And again, there's only going to be 20 or 30 or 40 people that's going to watch this video, right? But it's the powers of two. You tell two, that person tells two. We got to tell everybody that we got to go out here and say, you know what? We're tired of this. Regardless if you think or don't think that this administration stole the election, doesn't matter about that. If you can boycott Target, which is okay, but I think that place should have been shut down by now, and boycott a beer company for putting a picture of a, transgender person on the face of the can, what do you think they did at the White House? They doubled down. They did it all over the country. They let everybody see it all over the country and all over the world. That this flag right here means nothing in compared to that evil flag that represents, in my opinion, all 7 deadly sins. And I'll make a video about that. Pride, all of them. It says the word pride right in it. It's nothing but, to me, is, in my opinion, death and destruction. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi in this situation, looking over at Anakin turning evil. And I'm like, man, I don't want to fight you, but I have to. I don't want to go against my government. But if you read the Constitution and you know what's going on with them trying to take your Second Amendment rights, I'll just say, you already know what's going on. But for them to do that on the White House lawn, and for the President of the United States and the Vice President and all those people out there carrying on the way they did. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Oh, well, they banned that one guy who acts like a lady, took off her shirt. For them to even do that, I believe that person should have been arrested. I'm sorry. It ain't about a woman not showing her breast, because first of all, it wasn't a woman. It's a man pretending to be a woman, okay? Because again, how they try to get you is, and I've seen this in Russia and everything else, where they try to actually tell you what the facts are. They say politically correct. What politically correct means is, in the policy or in the government eyes, this is correct, whether you know for a fact it's not. If the sky is blue and politically correct says the sky is green, regardless, you can say it in your house the sky is blue, but out here you got to say it's green. That's where politically correctness comes from. Look it up. It comes from the Russian government. When they tell you, non-binary and this, that, and the third, if you look down your pants, you're either one or two things. You're either a man or you're a woman. 100 years from now, when they bury all these people or bring them up out of the ground or whatever, they're not going to see anything else but, wow, this person has some plastic on their chest, or this person had their genitals cut off or whatever. But you do a DNA test, it's either XY chromosome or XX chromosome, period. It's either a man or a woman, but they're going to try to tell you it's not and make that law. And if you don't say that, regardless, you're going to be ostracized in this country. And I know you're not having it, and I'm not having it. So for them to go out there on the White House lawn and do what they did, we have to boycott this administration in a nonviolent way, and we have to boycott the White House. I'm sorry. And I've been festering on this, and when I saw what they were doing out there, and nobody even talks about it, they're mad about it. But if you stop drinking a can of beer, you got to stop. You got to stop supporting this stuff, man. And how do you stop supporting it? I already told everybody, stop going to work. Don't be a cog in the machine. If you don't pay your taxes, they don't have any income, period. Now, it's going to be hard for people. I know that. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. But I'm not giving my tax money to these people. This is absolutely and utterly evil. And again, when I tell you that I'll die for this, I will. I know I'm not a big deal or whatever. One day, one of my videos may go viral. And I know that because once you say something and put it on the internet, that's it. You can't take it back. You could take it down, but somebody else could have copied and pasted or do whatever you do. But I'm not afraid of that. I know I'm going to die one day anyway. I don't want to die, of course, but I read my Bible, I pray, and I believe there's a life after this. That's eternity. It's for eternity. And this is just practice, this life down here. That's my belief. But while I'm down here, and I have generations that I have to take care of, year after year after year after this, there is no way they're going to say my dad or my great-grandfather or my grandfather or my great-uncle laid down and didn't do anything when I have all this technology to speak my mind. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. And if I get banned from this and taken down from that, I don't give a shit. When you see an administration, the Brandon administration, use the DOI, the Department of Injustice, try to put their adversary in prison based on whether they broke the law or not, because I'm not saying Donald Trump didn't break the law. I don't know. I wasn't there. We'll find out in court, I guess. But it just comes out the day he gets accused of taking in $5 million in bribes himself and $5 million from his son. That is not an attack on Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. That's an attack on us. And again, I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you this, what I don't like about Donald Trump, real quick on a side note. I don't like a lot of things about Donald Trump. I think he's egotistical. I think he's non-competitive, meaning he loves yes men around him. He don't like to be challenged. I hate the fact that he printed all that money in 2020, February, March of 2020. I hate the fact that he bent to the woke people and shut down this country. I hate the fact that he gave out a bunch of stimulus checks and shut down everything in the country, basically saying, hey, we're going to go on lockstep. We're going to lock everything down on the federal level. He stood there with Dr. Fauci, and he has bad judgment based on what Fauci was doing. I know he didn't hire Fauci, but he shouldn't have went with that. He shouldn't have went with the shots. He shouldn't have stood next to Fauci and said, hey, this is the way to go and blah, blah. Because you can see in his face, you can tell he didn't really want to do that. But to me, that's not a strong leader. I'm sorry. I know you guys are Donald Trump fans or whatever, but I'm just telling you, everybody thinks I'm all on Donald Trump. I'm not. Okay? There's a lot of things I do like about Donald Trump, though. If I gave his administration a grade from A to D or F, I'd give him a B. I would have gave him an A minus, but that last stuff he screwed up. I might give him a B minus. He printed all that money. I think with the January fix stuff, I think he should be out there raising money and raising hell for those people that undeservedly, not the people that wrecked shop at the Capitol building. The people that really did something wrong, they should go to jail. If you broke in and broke stuff and stuff, you should get a fair trial. Let me say this again. You should get a fair trial, which they're not getting, by the way, and getting treated like a third world nation, what they're doing to these people. Everybody deserves a fair trial. They should get a fair trial, and if convicted after the fair trial by their peers, they should go to jail for that, okay? But the people that are locked in a dungeon and getting treated like garbage, that you know they didn't do anything. I don't know if it was the east side or the west side of the building where they just literally let them in, and the people on the steps and all that. All those people that are unjustifiably going to jail, in my opinion, because I wasn't there. I seen it on video. But again, there's no fair trial for them. If Donald Trump really feels like they got treated bad, he should be helping them out. Now, I know he's a billionaire and he can give his money. I'm not saying he should give his own money, but he should definitely be raising money for them. He raised millions of dollars in a couple hours when he went down to Florida. He raised couple of $1 million when he went to New York City for his indictments. Why is he not raising money for these people on January 6th? Or 5th, excuse me. That's just my personal gripe with him. You know, I don't like a lot of things Donald Trump did in his administration. I'm sorry, I don't. But the reason why I think he should be the president, and I'm still going back and forth between him and a couple of people, is simple. Because they don't want him in. If they don't want him in so bad, why? Why don't they want him in so bad? I'd have to see if he dropped out, because Ron DeSantis would always be the front runner. How did we treat Ron DeSantis? Will they treat Ron DeSantis the same way? Because if they treated Ron DeSantis the same way, I don't know. But I doubt it. I doubt it. And again, like Tucker Carlson said, in February, I think it was, 2016, when he showed that video, that was the moment he was on the radar when he basically said those weapons of mass destruction, we should have never went over there in the first place. And you know what he's talking about. And I know that too. And the 9/11 stuff, we all know about the conspiracy theories about that. Okay? So anyways, we have to stand up against this shit. And if you feel like you can ban a Bud Light can, my Lord, guys, you got to stand up against this, man, especially at the White House. They're doing this right in front of us. If your kids are in this stuff, you got to get them out of the schools, period. And you got to stand up in your beliefs and stand up for God and stand up for this country, this Constitution in this country, because we're losing it, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking bites and bites and bites and bites until there's no more left. Now they're speeding up the process. So again, guys, I need you to keep focused on what's going on. And my Lord, boycott the White House, man. I'm sorry. If you can boycott a Bud Light can and boycott Target, you can boycott this administration and boycott the White House. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon, guys. All right? Peace.